Hey everyone, this is David McCree, CPA. Boy, oh boy, what's a nonprofit to do? This is a BOI reporting circus update on December 24th, 2024. Beneficial ownership information reporting for nonprofits. Quick recap. The Corporate Transparency Act of 2021 requires certain reporting organizations to file online a report that discloses the identity of the individuals who own or control a business. Sole proprietors do not have to file the report. The report is to be filed at fincen.gov/BOI. Nonprofits are in most cases exempt from filing the report. Here's the actual text of the law. The following types of nonprofits are exempt from BOI reporting: a church, a charity, a nonprofit entity, or other organization that's described in Section 501c, if it has not been denied tax-exempt status, and if it has filed its most recently due Form 990 with the Internal Revenue Service, if it was required to file. Got a link here to the actual text of the law, and on YouTube you just look in the video description below the description of the video below the video, and you get a live link there. I'm hearing a lot of confusing advice on YouTube. I've been watching all the YouTube videos about nonprofits and beneficial ownership information reporting. One of the things I'm hearing is that any nonprofit that does not have a determination letter from the IRS has to file a BOI report. And gosh darn it, I just can't find any support for that. You know, it doesn't say that in the law anywhere. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a determination letter is, that's what the average person calls the tax-exempt letter. It's the letter that the IRS sends you after you've applied for tax-exempt status by filing Form 1023 or whatever, and they send you a letter that says, okay, we've reviewed your application and we have determined that you are tax exempt. Okay, that's your determination letter. The law specifically exempts nonprofits that are described in Section 501c, 501c. Okay, 501c1, 501c2, 501c3, whatever. It says nothing about being officially recognized by the IRS or having a determination letter. So if it were true that any organization without a determination letter had to file a BOI report, then every nonprofit, every newly formed nonprofit would have to file a BOI report as soon as it was incorporated. And so what would be the point of the exemption? The exemption from filing the BOI report would have no effect. So it doesn't make sense. So let's just take a quick look. You can get a lot of information from the FinCEN website, fincen.gov/BOI. Of course, they have the updates here. This is what, the update that's on top. That's the one you want to, that's where you want to get your most recent information. And then there's a frequently asked questions here. So you click on that. And you're going to scroll down to section L, reporting company exemptions. The first one, what are the criteria for the tax-exempt entity exemption? Okay, so let's look at that. What are the criteria for the tax-exempt entity exemption from the BOI reporting requirement? An entity qualifies for the exemption if any of the following four criteria apply. First one, the entity is an organization that is described in Section 501c of the Code, determined without regard to Section 508A of the Code. Okay, it doesn't say anything about a determination letter there. In fact, what it says is, what you need to know, Section 508A, that's where you are required to request a determination letter by filing Form 1023. So it says if you're described in Section 501c, whether or not you've applied under Section 508A for your exempt status, you are entitled to be exempt from the BOI reporting requirements. Okay, and then below it, there's another important one here, and we'll talk about that shortly. That's the 180 days if you've been revoked for non-filing of a return. Okay, so let's look at this 501c described in section 501c. Well, you're described in section 501c. This is section 501. Okay, and A, B, and C. So it gives you a list of exempt organizations. If you're described in any of these, okay, without regard to whether you've applied for your determination letter or not, or without regard to whether you have a determination letter, you're going to be exempt from the BOI reporting requirements unless you've been revoked, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so you're described under section 501c3 if you're a corporation, community chest, fund, or foundation organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, scientific, testing for public safety, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you're described here and you fit that, you are exempt from the filing requirement for the BOI, the information reporting requirement. And here let's look at section 508. Okay, it says without regard to section 508. 508 simply says that new organizations must notify the secretary that they're applying for recognition of section 501c3 status. All right, they're letting you know that you have to apply for for a determination letter by filing your form 1023 or whatever appropriate form for your organization, because they won't treat you as tax exempt if you don't. But you have 27 months to do that, okay, after you've incorporated. So during that 27 months, you don't have a determination letter. But as long as you're described under section 501c, then you're exempt from the beneficial ownership information reporting. Okay. The next section down here says you're exempt if you have not lost your tax exempt status within the last 180 days. Okay. So let's have a look at that. An organization that has lost its tax exempt status will continue to be exempt from filing a BOI report for 180 days beginning on the date the tax exempt status was lost. This means that a nonprofit that has lost its tax exempt status for failing to file a return for 3 consecutive years, and if it takes more than 6 months to be reinstated, 6 months from the date it was revoked, then it's gonna need to file a BOI report, according to my reading of the law. And I don't know how strict the government's going to be on this, but man, those penalties are pretty high, so I wouldn't want to fool around with that. If you're revoked, call a lawyer. So what's the current status of the law? On December 3rd, you've probably heard of this, it's probably why you're here, a Texas district court said that the BOI reporting law was probably unconstitutional, and it issued a temporary nationwide injunction against the requirement to file a BOI report. This was big news when it came out. It's all over. But the Department of Justice, they're not having it. They were undeterred, and they appealed. And guess what? They found a court that would overturn that temporary injunction. Okay, the Fifth Circuit. A Fifth Circuit court overturned the injunction, and as of 12/23/24, reporting companies that are not specifically exempt are now once again required to file the report. But it's not over yet. That's not all, folks. The plaintiffs challenging the BOI report have until December 27th, according to the court, to take further action. So there's likely to be more to this story. So, bottom line, if you're in revoked status, what are you going to do? Well, simplest thing to do, I guess, would be just go file a BOI report, get it over with. All right, and remember that there are extensions of the due dates for filers in states that were affected by the hurricanes. Okay, and again, on the FinCEN website, there is a list of the due dates for hurricane-affected areas. Again, I really recommend that you consult with legal counsel on this if you're revoked and you're not sure what to do. I'm not going to go into all the due dates here. You can find them on fincen.gov, and they're going to change probably in a couple days. So no point in wasting a lot of time here. All of the current information fincen.gov/BOI. So I hope that answers some questions. Good luck with it. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Sorry that we all have to go through this. Merry Christmas.